Wednesday. I'm making sure we're live. I'm going to share this in the Facebook group really quick. For those of you that are here and that you're watching, let me know where you're watching from. Drop it in the comments. And like I said, sharing this into Socially Awesome Entrepreneurs. So if you're not already in there, you're definitely going to want to jump in there. We do obviously weekly live trainings in there on TikTok. We do them on IG, and then all of the replays live in our Facebook group, Socially Awesome Entrepreneurs. So if you're not in there, hop in there. My group gets, first to know, right? First to know. But today we're talking about content overload to clarity. So drop in the comments and let me know kind of where you are with content overload. If you feel like you just have so many ideas, you can't get them all together. If you feel like you struggle completely because there's so many ideas, you go into analysis paralysis. So kind of let me know in the comments where you are in your content journey, what you're struggling with. And as always, I want these to be as interactive as possible. So if you have any questions at all during today's training, drop them in the comments. I always come back and answer them at the end, okay? And today's is actually going to be a little bit shorter than most of my trainings. I'm making sure TikTok's working. Okay, perfect. All right, we should be everywhere. We're good. Today's probably going to be a little bit shorter than my normal trainings because honestly, there's only a few things that lead to content overload. All right, it comes down to a couple things, and I really want to dive into those today so that you can understand, what is causing this overload for you. All right. So let's dive right in. For those of you that are new, you've never been on one of my live trainings, every Wednesday at noon CST, I go live. Feel free to make sure that you're hanging around with us in the group, in the community. And I always like to teach things on these lives, right? These aren't just Q&As, but my goal is never to bring something new to you, really. I do occasionally, right? When I find a really cool software or automation tool, those types of things. But you have all of the tools that you need right now to build the business that you want to build. The problem is getting your thoughts straight. The problem is streamlining, building a system. So for those of you that have never been on any of my live trainings, my goal isn't to just bring you all this new hype and new information. It's to simplify what you already know and bring it in a different perspective to where you're like, oh, I can do this, right? So if you've never been on any of my trainings, I'm Elise Smith. I'm a mom of three, a wife, six-figure business owner. I was in digital marketing in corporate for 5 years before I started my business. So I have marketing experience, and I brought that to build Socially Awesome. So I share these facts and things on the screen with you, not to impress you, but to show you that everything I teach you is from either trial and error or experience. I don't bring you concepts. I don't bring you fluff. I bring you actionable strategies for you to put into your business. Okay. And by doing that, I've built a multi-six-figure business, and I did it in 6 months. Okay. So it is possible. I don't like to breathe income claims or hype on people, but it is possible when you really get that clarity and that alignment. And we're going to talk about that today, to build a business quickly, one that is sustainable and one that will continue to grow. Okay. So I want to dive right into this. So let's kick things off by recognizing the real problem here. Okay. If you're constantly overwhelmed by content, it's because you're trying to be everything for everyone. All right. Let me know in the comments if this is something that you struggle with. If you struggle with, well, if I talk about this, then these people aren't going to buy from me. Or I'm worried about putting this out there into the world because I'm going to offend people. Are you trying to satisfy everyone? Let me know in the comments if that is something you struggle with. But it's like bringing a bazooka to a water balloon fight, right? It's overkill and it's messy. You might think that creating more content is going to solve your problems. You might think that, serving more people is going to bring you more money. You might think that, talking to everyone is really going to broaden your sales strategy. And that's not how it works. Okay. More content does not mean more sales. More followers does not mean more sales, right? More products, more offers, adding more links, buying that new MRR course so you can put that in your stand store. That doesn't mean more sales. All right. It means more noise, and it means more overload for you. Now, as someone who has created a lot of courses, a lot of digital products, I have multiple programs, I get it, but they have to sync in your customer journey. And right now, a lot of your overload could be that you have so many different offers and you don't know where your audience is in the buyer's journey. All right. So we're going to walk through some of this today. And my goal is for you to leave here with some action steps for you to put into your business to kind of reduce that overload. All right. But again, more content and more followers does not mean more sales or more engagement. And you probably know that by now. If you are struggling making sales in your business and you're being consistent, you're showing up every day, you have probably realized more content does not mean more money. Okay. So if you're scattered and aimless, that's part of why your content's not landing, because it's not directed back to your ideal client and what offer you solve for them. Okay. So I want you to think of it like this way. If you're juggling flaming torches, you're bound to drop one, right? And so let's stop the juggling act and get a grip on what really matters. All right. So first thing, I want to talk about the elephant in the room. Content overload. It's like trying to eat a buffet when you're on a diet, right? You've got a lot of everything on your plate. You've got social media posts, you got stories, you got reels, you got TikToks, you got emails. You're supposed to be building funnels. Now you're in your DMs. You're supposed to answer comments, right? All of these things you're supposed to be doing every day to build this business, and you have no idea where to start. So when you finally sit down to work your business, or you wake up in the morning, depending on if you have a 9 to 5, or if you're a full-time entrepreneur, you don't know how to prioritize what you're supposed to do first. And so one of two things happens. You half-ass do everything, and so you half-ass get a result, aka no sales or very few, inconsistent. You kind of get shocked when a sale comes through, right? Or you do nothing. You get into paralysis analysis. And the point here is that you have no system, right? If you are overloaded, 9 times out of 10, you don't have systems. You are the system. You are the machine. So right now, you are doing everything, all the things, right? I'm putting air quotes, all the things you're being told to do, but there's no system for it. So of course you feel overwhelmed, right? Of course you feel overloaded. It's like my second graders when they get home and their teacher gives them all their homework on Monday for the whole week. And they're like, I got to do all this. And I'm like, no, we do one piece a day, right? For the whole week. But that's how my second graders feel. And that's how you feel. I got to do all this every day. And then when you don't have money coming in your bank account, you're putting out more than coming in. Of course, you're like, why am I going to keep doing this? You're not motivated to keep doing it. You're burnt out because of all these tasks. So the biggest issue is you have no workflows. You have no systems. When you have a system, I want you to think about like a car, right? You put the key in the ignition, you go to crank it. All these things have to happen for that car to start. Do you have to go plug the battery in, check the spark plugs, all that every time? I hope not. If so, please get your car fixed. But all these things happen, and all you had to do was put the key in the ignition and turn it over. So it's a system. Your whole motor and all of the pieces in the car that I don't know about are a system, right? So let me know in the comments if you are someone that has so many content ideas, you're practically paralyzed, or if you're someone that has absolutely no idea, your creativity is dead. I want to know. I want to gear kind of where you are currently, because it's either or, right? There's some of us, like me, with the severe ADHD that I'm like, oh, I got this idea and this idea. My notes on my phone is a freaking disaster. I got voice memos 6 months ago from, content ideas I had in the airport, and I voice memoed myself. But then you also have the people that are like, I'm struggling with creativity. I just don't even know where to start, right? So we're going to break those two options down today, because you're falling in one or the other, more or less, right? So if you're someone that's paralyzed because you have so many ideas, you sit down to create something, and it's like your brain has suddenly become a scrambled egg. You're like staring at your screen. Oh my God, I know I got to get this posted. I just don't know what to say. And it's not the lack of ideas, it's the lack of strategy, right? If you're someone that has 0 ideas, you probably find yourself scrolling, looking for inspiration, spending a lot of time on social media to get the ideas. And all that does is imposter syndrome, right? Because you're scrolling, looking for ideas, and you're like, oh my gosh, why does it come so naturally to them and it doesn't come naturally to me? So again, one or the other. You've either that person that's on a content creation spree only to end up with 1 million drafts and 0 posted, or you're the person that has no drafts, no ideas, and you're like, yeah, this isn't going to work, right? So let's look at these. Some things I want you to ask yourself are, do you feel like you have too many content ideas and you don't know where to focus? If you are the person that has too many ideas, your gears are always spinning, right? But you're not getting it executed. You're not having a system to put in place. It leads to analysis paralysis. Your issue is workflows, is a system, is a plan, okay? It's a plan. If you're the person with so many ideas, but you don't execute them well, or they don't result in a sale, it's system and planning, period, okay? So you have to sit down with yourself, have a CEO day, and say, I'm going to get all of my ideas on paper, and I'm going to start batching my content. I'm going to put this into a workflow. It's really taking that time to organize yourself, because if you're not lacking ideas, you should not be lacking sales, right? You shouldn't be. So there's a disconnect. If you're the person that has no ideas and you're scrolling, looking for inspiration, ending up with imposter syndrome, your issue is you're offering your ideal client. Okay. If you knew your ideal client through and through, like inside their head, and how your offer serves them, and some of that could be confidence. You might not be confident enough that you can get that result for people, so it's holding you back, and that's a mindset thing. But if you have no ideas, you really don't know your ideal client enough. Because the beauty of content and content marketing is that you only really need 10 ideas. So if you got really clear on your customer and your ideal avatar, their persona, you could come up with 10 ideas in a second. Because your content, you don't need 100 ideas. You need 10, and you need to turn those 10 into 100. Okay? When you're constantly creating new, all you're doing is confusing your audience. So that's what you don't want to do. Right? So the good news is we can turn it around either way. Whether you're the person with too many ideas or the person with none, there are options. Okay? And that's what I want to walk you through today. But again, ask yourself these questions. Do you feel like you have too many content ideas, but you don't know which to focus on? Are you struggling with a consistent plan that feels manageable and effective, right? Maybe you follow these gurus until you post, 3 times a day on every single platform, and you're like, there's no way I could do that. I have a full-time job, right? So let's walk through these step by step. All right, stick with me. So let's get down to the business here. If you're not defining clear goals for your business, it's like trying to hit a target while you're blindfolded, right? It's no wonder that you're missing the mark. So you might believe that posting more often on every platform is going to bring success, but without clear goals, you're just kind of spinning your wheels. If you don't know what you want, then your content efforts are just noise. Honestly, just noise. So when we think about goals, if I ask you your goal right now, feel free to drop it in the comments if you're open to sharing. But I very often have conversations in the DMs and people are like, I want to make $10,000 a month. And I'm like, that's great. That's fantastic. How are you going to get there? Well, I don't know. I'm going to sell this product, right? Your goals have to be very specific. And if you've never heard of SMART goals, go Google it, go look it up. But they got to be specific. They got to be measurable. They got to be actionable, right? Saying, I want more followers. How many followers? Where? What platform? How are you going to get them? Like more followers today, tomorrow, next year, right? So your goals have to be derived more than just for content, right? So a lot of times people make content goals. I'm going to post on TikTok 3 times a day. Okay, how does that lead to a sale? Your goals have to start with your business goals, which are usually sales goals. Okay. So when you're looking at goals for your business, I want to make $10,000 a month. Okay. How? I'm going to sell, 10 of my $1,000 program. Okay. How? I am going to drive traffic with Instagram and TikTok. Okay. How? Right? So keep asking yourself how. You have to be very specific. And for those students that are in the social success challenge with me right now, we're on day 3. We just got here. And day 3 is setting key KPIs for your business, right? That's a jargon term. It's goals, key performance indicators. So you've got this big fancy goal: retire my husband, travel the world, buy my RV, pay off my debt, whatever that is. But if you don't know what's going to get you to that goal, it's like shooting a target blindfolded, right? So if we're looking at this, cutting through this fog here, the first step to clarity is knowing what the heck you're aiming for. All right. So think of it like this. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there, right? But it's going to take you a whole lot longer, right? So a lot of times you might end up in the wrong place if you don't have a roadmap. So just saying, depending on where you are in your business right now, if you're brand new, of course, maybe you saw a big fancy income claim on social media and you're like, oh, I want that too. But you never sat down and actually made a business plan or a marketing plan. You just jumped into making content because these content creators make it look so simple, right? You just post a video, put your link in your bio, you're going to make all these sales. And you've learned by now, it doesn't work that way, right? So you need to know your goals. Your goals have to come before your content, because if your content are not aligned with your goals, then sure, you might grow 10,000 followers, but you're not going to have any sales. Everything you do in your business has to go back to your goals. Everything, every task you do every day, every email you send, every DM you send needs to be very strategic. So if we break this down, okay, do you want to build brand awareness? I have a couple students in my program right now that are, doing UGC or brand deals. I've got one that's, working on getting brand deals right now with large brands. So her main goal might be to drive brand awareness, to build her platform. Because when she builds a platform of her ideal client, big brands are going to want to work with her, right? Your goal might be to build a community. Maybe you are a coach or a mentor and you want to serve more people, right? So you need to know what your goals are and how they connect back to your ultimate why. Why did you start your business? So let's narrow these down. First and foremost, you got to know your audience. That's I want to say that's like step 1, but honestly, your goals are step 1. Okay. Step 2 is knowing your audience. And you've heard this. I'm not the first person to tell you this. Niche, avatar, all of these things that you hear when you get into marketing. But I'm talking about really know them. Really know them. And if you're in my challenge right now, you are in for a big awakening tomorrow, because we're going through customer personas and customer journeys. Because right now, a lot of people think they know their ideal client. They're like, well, I help busy moms leave corporate. Okay, cool. How? Why? Why do they want to leave corporate? Why? What are they thinking about, right? Leaving that steady paycheck to start a business? Ooh, that's scary for them. What does that feel like? What are they feeling? You need to know what your ideal client is feeling at every point in their journey with you, right? If they didn't buy your product, why? What were they feeling? If they saw your content and engaged, but didn't opt in, why? What were they feeling? Right? Emotions sell, facts tell, period. Okay. And that's a lot of times that people say stories sell, facts tell, and that's true. But do you know why? A story makes people feel an emotion. Okay. So it's really important. You need to know who's on the other side of that screen, right? Who's on the other side of that screen, and not just like their demographics. She's a 30-year-old mom. She's got brown hair and works a 9 to 5. You need to know what's keeping her awake at night. You need to know what her day-to-day life looks like, right? If you don't, there's no way for you to create content to sell to her. Because if you're trying to sell her on a platform or a program that's a 5-hour day commitment, she ain't got 5 hours a day. She works a 9 to 5. You really have to know what their day-to-day life looks like, right? And you have to tailor your content to that. The next piece of this is setting measurable targets. So we're talking about goals, right? Think of this as like setting a GPS destination. Do you want 100 new followers this month? Okay, cool. What are those 100 new followers going to do for you? Maybe they're going to increase your engagement. What is increasing your engagement going to do? Allow you to have more conversations, allow you to have more link clicks, allow you to put more people in your funnels, right? So you need to set very measurable targets, not just saying, I want to make sales this month. How many sales? Sales of what? How are you going to get there? Very specific goals. And until you know these, you're going to continue to feel like plates are in the air spinning and they're always dropping, right? You're wandering around in the wilderness right now of social media because you don't know where the hell you're going. If you knew exactly where you were going, you start riding, taking that road trip right to it. And I'm not here to tell you that setting your SMART goals today is going to make you $10,000 tomorrow, but you're going to get there a whole lot faster than all the guessing. Because right now you're having content overload, whether it be lack of ideas or too many ideas. And that's because you don't know how to get where you want to go. That's what it all boils down to, right? So the second step of reducing that content overload, now that we have defined our goals, right? We know our ideal client, we know our key targets, we know how we're going to get there. You need to simplify your strategy. It's that simple. We already, as moms and entrepreneurs and dads and all these things, we already have a whole plate full of stuff, especially if you still work a 9 to 5. You already have football and soccer and PTO and the school's texting you about lunch money and, you got to go get your oil changed and you got to get your hair cut and you forgot to go to the dentist. So you already have all these other things spinning, right? And now you're adding stories, reels, TikToks, emails, all these things, right? So you have to start simplifying that strategy. And when you have your goal set, you can streamline your strategy because we reverse engineer it, right? If we know this is our goal for the month, we write down what tasks to get there. And then we look how we can bunch those up. So we're going to walk through that together. So right now you're probably cramming too many ideas into one space, right? And you might think that, if this reel went viral, if I just go make one like it, it's going to take my business away. It's going to make it blow up and I'm going to make all these sales. But the deal is you're overcomplicating right now. Complexity does not equal success. More content ideas does not equal success. More engagement on the platform every day is not going to trick the algorithm. All right. Simplifying your strategy is like trimming the fat off your content plan. Because right now it's so many tasks, you're so overwhelmed. And we did a training, I believe it was last week, about repurposing content like a pro. So if you missed that, you can actually get the replay in the Facebook group, Socially Awesome Entrepreneurs. If you're on TikTok, you can find that in my stand store. But it really is important for you to understand less is more when it comes to content. It doesn't mean posting less. Okay. The beauty of content and social media is that you can schedule things, right? So doesn't mean not showing up as much. It means not having to do as much. Okay. So I want you to think about this like we're decluttering, right? We're decluttering that junk drawer that you got right now. We want to take out everything that we're never going to use again. We want to take out everything that's broken, all the things that are in there that aren't supposed to be in there, right? And kind of get it organized. So if we look at this as a whole, using your goals, we want to do a couple things. So first and foremost, your content themes. And I'm not going to be the first person that tells you this. All right. You probably have seen these trainings before, but I try to simplify this for you. Content themes, right? I recommend 3. Some creators that have a lot of offers, I'm probably one of them, might have 5, right? But 3 is really good for you to start with. And these are like core topics that your content will revolve around. Okay. So this is really simplifying that strategy. Now, this is where most people get it wrong. Their content themes or content pillars have absolutely nothing to do with what they're selling, right? So if you're selling a course right now on how to meal prep, in an hour a week for keto, I don't know, making this up. You're not going to have a content theme around Instagram growth, right? It's pointless. Or here's a better example for those that are, because I know a lot of you are in the wealth niche right now. If you're in the wealth niche and you sell a course that teaches people how to start digital marketing from scratch, one of your content themes does not need to be how to grow on TikTok. Your ideal client has not even started a business yet. So they don't care about growing on TikTok because they don't know that it's important yet. So there's a disconnect, right? There's a disconnect. You talking about email marketing and funnels and automations to a stay-at-home mom that has no business at all yet, of course she's going to scroll right past. She doesn't care, right? So you need to write down 3 themes for your content that drive back to your offer. So that busy stay-at-home mom that you're trying to target right now for growing an online business, what does she really need to be able to believe that she could have a business? Maybe time management tips for moms, right? Because that's going to be one of her objections. One of her objections is going to be, I can't start a business because I don't have time. I'm so busy. So if you give her time management tips, she's going to start to see, I have a lot more time on my hands than I thought, right? Make sense? Okay. Get really clear. But the only way to do this is to be inside your ideal client's head. Okay. So like I said, those of you that are in the challenge, I know we got several of you watching, you're in for a treat because I'm going to show you really how to get inside their head in the next couple of days. Okay. Content pillars. So the second piece of simplifying your strategy is content pillars. So your pillars stem from your themes, right? So we're going to take those themes and we're going to break those into 2 to 3 specific content pillars. So for that busy mom, maybe we are doing time management tips, right? What are 2 to 3 content pillars that we can have in that? Productivity tips, right? That might be teaching her about like what's it called? The Podamo method or whatever, where you work for 25 minutes, take a 10-minute break. It gives you bursts of energy, right? It might be tools and apps that she can use to save her time or track her time or whatever that looks like, right? You might have daily routines that you teach her that allow her to empower the kids so that she can have more time doing less because the kids are now doing more, right? So each theme needs to be broken into pillars. Again, this is so important. So many people get tripped up on their pillars because they're like, well, one of my pillars is digital marketing. One of my pillars is, TikTok growth. And one of my pillars is, funnel building. And I'm like, who are you targeting? What? Right? They have to make sense back to your offer. They have to make sense back to your offer. And I hate to tell you guys, or I don't hate to tell you this. I want to tell you this so bad, but it's hard to hear for a lot of people because they've been trained incorrectly. Digital marketing is not a niche. Okay. It's not. Digital marketing is something that you do. It's an activity, right? So when I was in corporate and I worked for a franchise that had 170 something locations, I did digital marketing, right? We were in the quick service food restaurant industry. That was the niche. So you really need to start doing more research on your ideal client if you think you're in the digital marketing niche, because you're not. Okay. So you need to understand that digital marketing is what you do for your business. There's a laundromat down the road from me that does digital marketing. They have content and social media ads, right? It's not a niche. It's not what you do. So those of you that are in the challenge are like probably shaking your head right now because day 1 and 2, we really went through your brand statement, all of that, right? And it's not what you do. It's It is not the niche. It is not your category. It is how you are marketing your business. Okay. And then the third piece of simplifying your strategy is content calendar, right? So you probably heard this, but the problem is right now you either have so many ideas, you can't get them into a calendar, or you're second guessing how to put it into a calendar. Or if you're that person with no ideas, you're like, my calendar's blank, right? But creating a monthly calendar outlines what content you'll post and when. It's that simple, right? It's that simple. And you are going to stick to a consistent schedule to stay organized, and it keeps your audience engaged. So the beauty of this is when you're consistent with your content calendar, one, you have a lot less stress. There's no more waking up going, what do I post today? What do I say today? Sitting on the couch after work going, oh man, I didn't get my reel posted today. I forgot. Let me hurry up and scramble it together, right? Two, it allows you to pre-schedule this, and it gives you time back in your business. So I pre-schedule on some platforms and some I do not. On platforms that I'm not focused on growing, I pre-schedule all of my content for the entire month. Like right now, today, tomorrow, the next day, I am working on getting October planned and scheduled. Like that's how far in advance I am. Okay. What does that allow me to do? It allows me to take my kids on a Disney cruise in 2 weeks and not have to be on my phone. It allows me to take my husband to Puerto Vallarta, in 4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks for his 40th birthday and not have to worry about getting my TikTok posted. Scheduling your business is like your office hours, your business hours, right? If your business is open 24/7 right now, you're going to continue to stay overwhelmed. All right. And again, those of you in the challenge, I know I keep saying this, but we are going through this really, really, really in depth at the end of next week. It's really important for you to understand that 80% of your content is done in the planning phase. And right now you're spending so much time in the creation phase, which is an active phase, a reactive phase. You're frustrated and you're overwhelmed. Okay. So let's keep going. The truth is though, setting your goals is amazing. And it's step one. Simplifying your strategy is step two. The third is implementing it and adjusting. Okay. So once you have your streamlined strategy, you got to put it in action, right? You got to put it in action. If you are planning all of your content, you have all of your ideas, your calendar is fancy and all decorated and it's sitting up on your wall and you don't actually do anything with it, what good does it do, right? I say this every week when I do these trainings, but 99.9% of the people that watch these free trainings I do every single week do absolutely nothing with them. They don't implement anything. And that's insane to me. Doesn't make me angry because it's just how it works, but it's insane to me. People don't take action, right? Messy, massive action will get you so much further than you waiting to be ready. Oh, I'm just going to get this whole month planned out and then I'll batch it. You're never going to do it. Never, right? So if you're just posting content and hoping for the best on your lunch break or whenever you get a second, it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing if it sticks. And it usually doesn't, right? Most of it's going to fall flat. So understanding that you need to have a plan. Once you have a strategy, you got to put it into action. Implementation isn't a one and done deal, right? You need to actively be implementing, engaging, monitoring, and adjusting. Your content strategy should be a living, breathing entity, not a set it and forget it thing. So one of the biggest struggles I see is people tell me all the time, I've been posting for 90 days and it's not working. Okay, well then what are you changing? Right? Where are you adjusting? Have you looked at your analytics? If you keep doing the same thing you've been doing for the last 90 days, it's not going to bring a different result. It's a definition of insanity, right? So looking at this, the most common mistake that I see people making is, again, the lack of strategy. The lack of strategy. So in order to convert sales from your content, you need to know what is the goal of that piece of content. And a lot of times you don't know, right? I want to sell my product. Okay. What does that one specific piece of content do to sell that product? And I actually did a whole TikTok on this. If you missed it, you can go check that out. And again, you guys in the challenge, this is like a whole day inside the challenge coming. But Your audience has to go through 5 stages in order to buy from you: awareness, consideration, decision, retention, and loyalty. And every piece of content covers one of those phases, right? One of them. So if all of your content's in the awareness phase, you're never going to have a sale. If all of your content is in the decision phase, then you're coming across as salesy. So you have to know where your audience is in the process. Is this piece of content, is the goal of this for them to opt into my email list? Is the goal of this for them to go buy my product? Is the goal of this for them to hit that follow and hang out with me? Every piece of content should have a different goal, because if it's all hanging out in the same phase, people are never going to buy. So you have to understand this when you're going through your content pillars and you're going through, your themes. Okay, these are the things that she needs to hear for her to trust me. These are the things she needs to hear for her to consider buying my product. These are the things she needs to hear for her to make a decision to actually buy it, right? So you have to understand these phases, and the only way to do that is to have a marketing plan. It's that simple. Not a posting schedule. Just saying I post 3 times a day is not a marketing plan. That's a posting schedule. That's one small piece. Another reason I see this failing for people is you don't know your audience the way that you should. So when I've done so many content audits over the last couple months, it's crazy, but I have seen a lot of content, and it starts something like, are you tired of living paycheck to paycheck? It's like every time you go to the groceries, you have a heart attack because it's so expensive. Yes, everybody's going to say yes to that, right? Yep, so expensive. That's exactly why you need to start digital marketing. What? How does that make sense? Right? Digital marketing is not the solution. The solution is bringing in more income. Starting to learn how to do digital marketing is a roadmap for them to start more income. So you don't know your audience the way that you should. You think that that's their problem. They don't know how to start digital marketing. That's not their real problem, right? Their real problems are they don't have enough income. Their real problems are they haven't gotten a raise at their job in a year. Their real problems are like you've got to know what their real struggles are. And the only way to do that is get super clear on your ideal client. We talked about this earlier. If you're that person that has no ideas or lacks creativity, this is for you. Okay, this is for you. You don't know your audience the way that you should. You should know them like your BFF, right? You know what she likes to eat. You know what her favorite color is. You look at her and you know what she's thinking before she's even thinking it. The demographics matter a whole lot less than the psychographics. Okay, so you got to really start understanding that. Another reason that I see it fails, not standing out. Not standing out. You could have the most amazing offer, a great sales process, a great sales strategy, a great sales funnel. But if you're not standing out or driving traffic to that, there's nobody there to buy, right? A lot of times you're not standing out because you're not confident in what you have to offer. You're not confident in your content. Some of that comes with practice. Most of it comes with practice. You're never going to be ready. I know I'm not the first person to tell you that. But 99.9% of your content problems are confidence, not information. Okay. You may not be aligned with your brand. You may feel like you're living a lie, right? You're pretending to be someone, especially if you're in a course or a program or a mentorship of some point where they're telling you, say these things. It works for Susie. No, don't. You need to say what is true to your brand, what's authentic, and be transparent. Stop lying on social media. And I say that with love because all you're doing is you're definitely not making sales. But what you're really doing is you're hurting yourself on the inside because it's giving you your own imposter syndrome, right? You've probably been told, say this or say this or say this. And then you do it and you feel gross. You are going to build a sustainable business when you start being true to your brand and yourself, right? Telling your authentic story. Because when you're just living in someone else's shoes, you're going to keep feeling like you're not good enough. And you're going to keep showing up in a way that doesn't feel good to you. And your audience can feel that. They can see right through the bullshit of working 1 to 2 hours a day. I'm sorry. They can. Okay. They can see it. They can see it. Start being true and authentic to yourself, right? Instead of copying others' content or, taking these viral reels and going and make them your own, start coming up with new, fresh ideas. And the only way to do that for those of you that are lacking ideas is to get really clear on your ideal client. Really clear. Okay. For those of you that have too many ideas, get your ass organized and get a system. That's it. It's that simple. You're overcomplicating it is what it is. Okay. So I want to answer you guys' questions. I'm going to pull TikTok down, see what questions you have. And for those of you, I do want to share this too. It is not too late to join the Social Success Challenge. In this challenge, we're on day 3, but it's all recorded. So if you happen to hop in today, you can catch up day 1, 2, 3. Okay. And I've got on here just some of the things that people have said about it, but everything I touched on today, we are covering in the challenge, plus much more, right? So there's a lot of elements to a marketing strategy. And part of the reason you feel so overwhelmed is you don't have a plan. And in order to build a content strategy, you have to know your audience, know your goals, know your offer, all of these things. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is to write the marketing plan. A business plan comes before content, okay? Because if you just go out there, start creating content, you might get some sales, yeah. And then your business is going to fall flat in a couple months. So if you want to build a long-term sustainable business, the challenge is for you, okay? Because I don't know about you guys, but the last thing I want to do is go build a big-ass business, and then tomorrow I make 0, and I have to go back to a job, or I have to start putting things back on a credit card. That's the last thing I want. I would rather build slow and steady and know that I can trust my business to bring in income than a quick fix. Okay. So just a couple things they said about the challenge. I see Nancy's on. Nancy said it's only day 2 and I'm floored. You outdid yourself. You're really putting us to the test. That was something she shared yesterday. Yesterday we did SWOT analysis, and that's very corporate, like, I know, but there's a reason these Fortune 500 companies make the money they make, right? And it was very eye-opening for a lot of people because there's opportunities, there's threats, there's weaknesses on there. And a lot of times these are things that we aren't doing in our own, right? So right now you're posting all this content, you know something isn't working because you're not seeing the money come in the bank, right? But you might not know what is not working. So how are you going to fix it if you don't know what's not working, right? You go, like we had the car analogy earlier, you go bring your car to the mechanic shop when it won't start, they pinpoint what's not working. That is the whole point of a SWOT analysis. So Nancy shared yesterday that she might be unrecognizable by the end of this challenge. And I was like, as long as it's in a good way, I love it, because that's the point, right? To push you out of your comfort zone. Amber said she's loving it. She's getting a lot of nuggets. Jessie, I see Jessie's on live. She said the bite-sized pieces are amazing during working and homeschooling. So right now you may have looked into getting mentorship, or you may have bought a course and you never finished it because there's so much to do, right? And you get that overwhelm. You look at this course and you're like, there's 108 modules. There's no way I'm ever going to get through this. And you just close it and you never look at it again. That's why I set this challenge up to be, one piece of your business every day. A couple other things. Sally, again, likes the step-by-step. And Lena said, she's making her look at her business in a whole new way. So if you have not jumped in the challenge, if you're on Facebook or TikTok, Facebook or Instagram, and you haven't jumped in and you want, it's still available. You can still jump in with us. Drop success in the comments on Facebook and on Instagram. If you're on TikTok, I cannot send you a link on TikTok, but it is still in my stand store. All right. So I want to answer you guys' comments really quick. I have a call with my coach at 1:00. So I stayed on time today. All right, let's see. On Facebook, we have, let's see. Thank you, Cindy. Yes, Jessie said content themes. I needed this. Of course. And Jessie, that's like a whole day inside the challenge as well. Cindy says, one of mine is benefits of online income and how it can relieve their pain points. Yeah. So Cindy, when we're looking at themes, right? Like kind of bringing that back to generating more income, like you said, right? And then if we break that into pillars, one of those could be, these are ways to make money online. These are ways to have multiple streams, like breaking that down. But I love that because ultimately all of your content pillars need to be strategically aligned with your ideal clients' pain points or desires, right? Every single one of them. Let's see. Jesse says, I throw a lot of spaghetti. Yeah. And I mean, you know what? That clarity and alignment. A lot of times people come to me and they're like, I just need better hooks. I just need better caption writing. And I'm like, no, you need to go back to the drawing board because it's a build, right? Your business is building upon each other. You could have amazing content and a shitty sales funnel and you're still not going to make sales, right? So it's building blocks. All of the pieces have to fit in order to have that consistent income. And so you said learning what works and what doesn't. It's what works and what doesn't for you, right? Because I know people that make crazy money with brand deals. I know people that make crazy money on Etsy. I know people that make crazy money, on TikTok, affiliate, shop, whatever, right? There's a lot of ways to skin a cat. It's about what works for you, okay? All right, let's see. Yes, I love this. I love this. All right, let me look at IG, see what questions we have. How do I close the sale without sounding pushy? That's a good question. So this was asked on IG. Honestly, you want your ideal client, your audience, to have, first we want them to self-identify in your content, right? And that's part of the reason we need to be speaking directly to them. We want them to see your content and say, they're talking to me, right? You don't want to have to convince anybody that you're the person for them. Your entire goal is for them to say, they're talking to me. Okay. The way to close the sale without sounding pushy, and this is going to vary based on how you're actually making the sales, is having an identity shift, right? So they might be thinking, oh, I need to do this, right, to solve this problem. When you help them have that identity shift and say, nope, that's not going to work. This is what actually works. That's what wins. So if you're closing sales on like a sales call or a DM, asking questions is the best way to close a sale. And it really just depends on how direct you're willing to be. The more direct, the more likely you are to close a sale. It's just that. But most people are afraid to do that. But for instance, if someone gets on a call with me and they're like, I really want to be in the academy, but I'm scared to spend the money. I got to talk to my husband. I want to work with you, but I'm still unsure. I'll ask them. So if you decide not to join the academy, how are you going to get to that goal? And asking those questions, right? And some of them may get aggravated. If they get aggravated, I promise you it's not with me, it's with themselves. It's just how it is, right? I'm just asking. If you choose not to get a mentor to help you get to that goal, how else are you going to get there? And a lot of times they're like, ooh, I don't know. Right? So asking questions. What is your biggest challenge? Okay, my biggest challenge is content. Why do you feel like that's your biggest challenge? I don't know. I'm just scared to be on camera. Why are you scared to be on camera? Well, I don't know. I don't like the way I look. Okay. Have you tried any alternatives? Right? Have you tried faceless? Have you tried blogging? Have you tried? No. It's leading them to the solution without convincing. So questions are the number one way to close sales all day long. Think about the last time you went and bought a car, right? How many damn questions do they ask? What are you planning on doing it? Where's the first place you're going to bring that car? What color do you like? Do you like leather? Are you pre-approved? They ask you all these questions. They're trying to get down to your pain points so you self-identify with that car that you're about to sit in, right? Let's see. Any more questions on IG? How can I join the challenge? It's in my Stand store. Or since you're on IG, you can just comment success and it'll send you the link. All right, let's see if TikTok has any questions and then I have to hop off. Uh-oh, I'm breaking stuff. I got a call with my own coach. Never hire a coach that doesn't have a coach, you guys, by the way. You have to constantly be working on your education in your business. All right. Let's see. Let me see if TikTok has any questions. And if you're on Facebook or IG and you have to hop off, go ahead. I just like to record the questions too for those that watch the replay. All right, let's see. It's kind of quiet on TikTok today. I'm shocked. We usually have 1,000 questions on TikTok. Let's see. All right, I'm still scrolling looking for these, but if you hopped on in the middle of the training and you want the replay, it's always in my Facebook community, Socially Awesome Entrepreneurs. If you're on TikTok, you can find that in my stand store under Fave Tools and Resources. If you're on IG or somehow on my Facebook business page, you're not in the group, you can drop group and it'll send you the link to join the group. But every Wednesday at noon, I go live with these trainings. Is there a cost with the challenge? Yeah, so the challenge is $197 for the 30 days. So in the pre-phase, before we went live, it went from 37 to 67 to 97 if you're someone that's been watching. But once it went live, it went to 197. You can use Klarna. That's a question I had yesterday that I hadn't had yet. So Klarna is an option. But for the full 30 days, all of the content is recorded, so you do have lifetime access to it. And again, inside the community, I'm answering questions. So like I've had students put, their action steps in there every day and ask for feedback, and I'm giving them guidance on and support on how to, maybe tweak it or whatnot. But that's full 30 days of the mentorship, the support, and the curriculum. So, all right, guys, that's it. I hope to see you in the challenge if you're not already in there. Like I said, we're only on day 3 and it's already mind-blowing. We haven't even gotten to content yet. Like, we're still in the foundation phase. So it's pretty epic. And it's crazy how when you break these steps down, these building blocks, how fast you're going to start to have clarity. Because I always tell my students this, and I'll end with this. I always tell my students that clarity is the most important thing. Right? It's the most important thing. And I say that from experience because I built a massive business. If you saw my very first slide, my intro slide, I told you that I've hit 100,000 in 6 months twice. And that's because I built my first business in 6 months. I hit 100,000 in contracts, like not guessing like, oh my gosh, am I going to get a sale? Like, people had contracts with me. And I realized I had clarity a couple of months later. It was just not what I wanted to do. And so I started over. I scrapped it after a year and did it again. And that's because clarity is the driving force. If you don't have clarity and alignment is also very underrated. If you don't feel aligned, if you are showing up every day on social media and you feel like you're an imposter or you feel like you're living a lie, you're not going to be able to keep that up very long. Right? So when you learn how to build a marketing plan from scratch and make sure that it aligns with the foundation of your values, you're going to feel so much better and you're going to show up completely different in your business. I promise you. It is the most important thing over content, over all of it. Clarity and alignment. All right. That's what builds confidence. That's what makes you show up as an expert. So I will see you guys next Wednesday. Let's see. How do I jump back in? Let's see. So if you need the replay, it's in my Facebook community, Socially Awesome Entrepreneurs, right there in Fave Tools and Resources. I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Bye, everyone.